GamingBolt presents 15 instances of game publisher and developer argument that stunt the industry. It's easy to forget that the gaming industry is like any other. Profits have to be made, tough decisions have to pass, and oftentimes, developers and publishers don't see eye to eye. Be that as it may, it's still amazing to look back on some of the more infamous conflicts between the two in history. Let's look into 15 conflicts between game publishers and developers that stunt the industry. Activision and Infinity Ward founders. In March 2010, Vince Zampella and Jason West were fired from Infinity Ward, the studio they founded, by Activision, following breaches of contract and insubordination. Following their departure, half of the studio's employees resigned, which later led to a lawsuit against Activision for unpaid royalties. Later, Activision brought a lawsuit against Zampella, West, and Electronic Arts, with EA accused of contract tampering. Eventually, the lawsuit was settled privately with Zampella and West, forming Respawn and releasing Titanfall under EA in 2014. Kojima and Konami. We could go into all the details regarding the split between Hideo Kojima, creator of the Metal Gear franchise, and publisher Konami, but it wouldn't be enough. Here's the short version. Kojima was rumored to be exiting the company due to issues with Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain's long development process, not to mention Konami's shift in thinking regarding AAA releases. Silent Hills was cancelled and Kojima's name was scrubbed from most Konami media, save for within the actual games. He then found himself effectively on a gag order and apparently prohibited from working with his team for months, leading to the Phantom Pain's release. Kojima has since left the company and founded his own studio, which is working on Death Stranding. John Carmack and ZENIMAX. When id Software founder John Carmack joined Oculus VR as its CTO in August 2013, things seemed relatively well. They nosedived sharply when he resigned from id in November 2013 to work at Oculus, since ZeniMax, id's parent company, wasn't interested in supporting the Rift. ZeniMax would eventually file suit against Facebook, which owned Oculus, for stealing the company's virtual reality IP. Though Carmack would eventually go free, Oculus was in trouble for numerous violations and was ordered to pay $500 million to ZeniMax. If that wasn't enough, eventually Carmack sued ZeniMax for failing to pay his remaining $22.5 million that was owed when id Software had been purchased. Assassin's Creed creator and Ubisoft. Patrice Désilets has had a rather bad history with Ubisoft. After leaving the publisher in 2010, he would form a new studio under THQ in 2011. However, once THQ went bankrupt, Désilets' studio would be acquired by Ubisoft. His next project was to be 1666 Amsterdam, but in 2013, Désilets announced that he had been terminated by Ubisoft and that their actions were baseless and without merit. Désilets would form another new studio called Panache Digital Games and create a new game called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, and would reacquire the rights to 1666 after settling with Ubisoft. Richard Garriott and Electronic Arts. The Ultima name has always meant something to fans, but in 1992, when creator Richard Garriott sold Origin Systems to EA, it was the beginning of the end. Climactic sequel Ultima 9 had its story changed several times, and EA wouldn't afford more time to help fix major issues. From 1999 onwards, EA took to cancelling Origin's newest projects, including Ultima Online 2, Privateer Online, and Harry Potter Online, causing Garriott to resign and form Destination Games. Fortunately, Garriott is working on a spiritual successor to the franchise with Shroud of the Avatar: Forsaken Virtues, which was successfully funded through Kickstarter. Jay Wilson and Blizzard. The curious case of Jay Wilson started following the negative reaction to Diablo 3's release. When Diablo 2 designer David Brevik criticized the system, Wilson, who is the lead designer on the project, outright said, "F that loser." Obviously, this wasn't received well, and Wilson issued an apology both to Brevik and the entire community. Wilson would leave the Diablo 3 team, work on the ill-fated Project Titan, which became Overwatch led by Jeff Kaplan, and leave Blizzard in 2016. Say what you will about it all, but Wilson reacting the way he did to Breivik was far from ideal for his tenure. Marty O'Donnell and Bungie. The case of Marty O'Donnell versus Bungie is a sad one. As a founder and the composer behind the iconic Halo theme, O'Donnell was Bungie in many ways. In April 2014, he was fired from the company without cause and saw closure in his stock along with vacation time pay that was withheld. O'Donnell filed suit in June 2014 with a final ruling in September 2015 ruling in his favour. As per rumours, internal strife and not condoning Activision's interference led to O'Donnell's firing. Needless to say, he didn't take it laying down. Lionhead and Microsoft. Microsoft is infamous for its closures over the past year, which includes that of Lionhead Studios and the cancellation of Fable Legends. In the midst of Lionhead potentially being shut down, several publishers actually sought to purchase the studio and the Fable license. Making a new licensing agreement would be tough, and Microsoft was in no mood to part with the IP, so instead it kept the same and shut down Lionhead. Joseph Staten and Bungie. The short version of this story is that Joseph Staten, who played a huge role in the Halo franchise, left Bungie. Shortly thereafter, Destiny's story had been retooled, which was painfully obvious at launch. However, the longer version, as per Kotaku writer and reliable Destiny leaker Jason Schreier, is that Staten helped create a supercut of the game, displaying its story, and Bungie didn't approve. The result was scrapped, and out of anger at his material not being used, Staten left the company. He's now with Microsoft, which brings us to the ironic thing. Bungie and Microsoft. When Bungie's deal with Microsoft was coming to an end, it surprised many by choosing to not stay with the publisher. Rumours indicated that Microsoft interfered in Bungie's business too much, especially with regards to fan interaction. Microsoft even decided not to release a Halo title that was in development for the Nintendo 3DS. Let's not forget how Bungie put themselves through hell to make the infamous Smoke and Mirrors E3 2003 demo for Halo 2, with the obvious assumption being that Microsoft pushed them to. Why they signed with Activision thereafter is anyone's guess. Gearbox and SEGA. Want to talk about shady dealings? Then let's talk about Aliens Colonial Marines. SEGA brought on Gearbox software to develop the game, but there were numerous delays. The final product was far below what anyone expected, resulting in a class action lawsuit against SEGA and Gearbox for false advertising. However, behind the scenes, an anonymous source told Destructoid that Gearbox would take SEGA's money but divert resources to other projects like Borderlands. It then outsourced developments to other studios like Timegate, Demiurge and Nerve Software. Gearbox would subsequently be dropped from the class action lawsuit, and really there's not much more to say. Genius Products, 7 Studios and Activision. In 2009, Genius Products and Newmark alleged that 7 Studios and Activision had conspired to delay Scratch the Ultimate DJ. The drama itself is in 7 Studios being the original developer for Scratch. When Genius and 7 Studios had their own arguments, Activision offered to buy Scratch. It was denied, and then bought 7 Studios to apparently stall development on Scratch, while also having access to proprietary tech. Because Activision had its own franchise with DJ Hero, of course. The fact that Scratch the Ultimate DJ isn't a thing and Activision still is should tell you all you need to know. 3D Realms and Gearbox. Oh look, someone else who isn't happy with Gearbox. This time it would be 3D Realms, who filed lawsuit against the Borderlands developer for non-payment of royalties over Duke Nukem Forever. Gearbox picked up the Duke Nukem license and would publish the oft-delayed Duke Nukem Forever. However, it failed to pay more than $2 million to 3D Realms, aka Apogee Software, for the purchase. Of course, Take-Two had sued 3D Realms for not finishing Duke Nukem Forever in 2009, but that's a different story. Halo Mobile. Infusio sued Microsoft in 2006 over a mobile version of Halo that it was developing. Why? Because Microsoft had apparently breached contract, refusing to approve any designs or concepts while offering little feedback. Microsoft was also to receive royalties for Infusio's use of the license, and said that it would delay the payments until designs were agreed upon. Well, at least that's what it said at first. Infusio later said that Microsoft wanted $500,000 in royalties or it would terminate the contract. Lo and behold, lawsuit. Standpoint and bulky pics. What would you do if you made a game and your publisher decided to sell it for $1? This very thing happened to Unruly Attractions with Standpoint when it was sold on a flash deal site by publisher BulkyPix. That was without informing, much less seeking authorization from the developer. Unruly Attractions co-founder Nathan John said that the studio had been embroiled in legal disagreements with BulkyPix and was worried about this happening. It also didn't help that Unruly only received half of the proposed money from BulkyPix during development, or that it didn't sell because of lacking of marketing. And that wraps it up. If you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing to our channel. We upload new videos daily, so make sure you don't miss them by subscribing. We appreciate your support, and we thank you for checking us out.